the program to see some features, to get some ideas. Yeah. So let me start the server. Yeah. All right, start Apache. All right, then start MySQL. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. So then, now I can run the project. Yeah, so let me make it a little smaller. Yeah. All right, so the project. Yeah, let me run this program. Yeah, all right. So here, yeah, so this is the simple interface. Yeah, okay. All right. So then, next, last time I explained the preparation part, right? Yeah, database connection, then table. So how do we access all 5 tables? Using a general way. So yeah. All right. So now we need to understand the data display first. Okay. After the data display, then editing features, input and editing features. Okay. All right. Then today I also want to use some time to explain the AJAX technology. Okay, give you an introduction to that AJAX technology. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's go back to the code. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So last time I explained the first part. Yeah. All right. So now the second part. So now you understand, the query. So this query, our first query, we want to get the field names. Yeah. Because when we list the data, we need to list the field name of the table, the current table, on top row. The top row, the field names. But after that, we need to run our second query. So the second query, we want to display all the rows. So here, I explained that part, okay? All right. So for some relatively simple explanation, I just used the, original code directly. If someplace I need a more explanation, then I use the screenshot. So I can write more detailed explanation on screen. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here, we are here. All right. Starting from the data part, data to the array. So here, I create a array. So here, you see data to the ARR. So, let you know, this is a 2D table. It has rows and columns. Yeah. So the next step, we need to run a SQL query to populate the data. Yeah. Basically, we just retrieve all the rows, columns from the current table. Yeah. All right. After that, yeah. Remember this dir variable, direction. Yeah. Dir, remember that the sorting. Yeah. Remember that, right? So we need to do sorting. Yeah. Yeah. So, I use arrow. So the sorting feature, I use up arrow, bottom arrow. I use 2 arrows to control the sorting direction, ascending order, descending order. Okay. Last time I used when dir equals 0, it's ascending order. It's default. Yeah. default 0 value. If it's 1, not 0, yeah, I use 1, not 0, then it's descending order. Yeah. Here, if $dir equals 0, ascending order, so when we do ascending order, look at this. In a query, current table name, order by field, yeah, selected field. Yeah. Because when you click arrow button, each arrow button, it is associated with column number. Here, $CN. $CN value, that's the index, array index for the column you select. Yeah. So here, this dollar fields, you access the field name that you want to use to sort your data. Now here, okay? Order by default. Yeah, here we do not specify ascending, descending. That means it's default. Default is ascending. Okay? When you use order by, default is ascending. Yeah. Otherwise, the other case, dir not equal to 0, yeah, we use 1, then we need to specify DESC, order by the field name, DSC, so we do the descending ordering, okay, sorting. Yeah. All right, so that's the query. After the query, result 2, connection object, so we run this query. Okay. We execute this query. Yeah. This $result2 contains the query result. And what is the query result? A 2D array. 2D array, a table, query table result, rows and columns. Yeah. So next, we need to use a while loop to access the query result. Okay? Populate the data in our data 2D array. Yeah. All right, so the while loop, we use a temporary $line variable. So every time we retrieve one line, okay, or the current row, so that line contains the data of current row. Okay, the current row, that data, we treat it as a 1D array, yeah, because you have several fields. So it's a 1D array. All right, so then inside the while loop, here we use $I to control the number of rows. Yeah, so we need to, process row by row. Yeah, at the beginning, I equals 0. Then every time we add 1 to it, yeah, because we access the 2D array. All right, we need to store the data in a 2D array, so we use this $I to control the row number. Okay, $I. Because later, when we display the data, we need to display row by row. Yeah. So this $I number. Then, so the element equals $volume underscore value, vol underscore value. Yeah, because this for each loop, we split. So here we use this syntax, $line as $vol underscore value. So we split that line, $line variable, yeah, because it contains multiple elements. Yeah. So here we use this syntax. We split into individual elements. So every time we process one element, so that element corresponds to, the field value, the current field value, yeah, because we need to go through all the columns, yeah, all the fields. Yeah. So the current field value in the current row. Yeah. Yeah. So we go through it, go through all of them. Okay. So we use a for loop, for each loop, to go through all of them. Okay, yeah, 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 yeah. Actually, yeah, here you can see, oh, that $I, right? Sorry, yeah, I said $I corresponds to the row, actually corresponds to the column, right? Yeah. So here you can see $, yeah, yeah, $I, yeah. So here you can see, yeah, because every time we increment that $I, we go through all the column values. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so we store in this way, all right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So then, next thing we need to consider display the table value, current table value. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So we need to use nested for loops. Yeah. Yeah. Here, the first for loop, we display the table field names. Yeah. Table field names. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Because the top row, it should be the table field names. Yeah. Yo, sorry. Let me see if table or option. Oh no, not the table field. The right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Table names. That's the table names, but we use as the anchor string. Hyperlink anchor string. So each table name we should associate with a hyperlink. So when we display, we need to consider that hyperlink. Okay, all right. If $MN double equal $I, yeah. So that means if the current table is selected, equal, yeah, because $MN, its value corresponds to the table index for the current table. If that value equals $I, then you display, yeah, so here, you display the, right, the table name without hyperlink. Yeah. Otherwise, you need to display hyperlink. Because the current selected one, you do not need to display the hyperlink, right? It's the current one. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But if it's not current one, then you need to display the hyperlink. Look at the hyperlink here. Okay? All right. The hyperlink you point to unit input.php, that's the file name of the current file, the same file. Here you want to send a request. If you click this hyperlink, you want to send a request to the current file, the same file. Unit input.php, the same file. But when you send the request, question mark, after question mark, you attach the parameter value. So here, this is the way you attach parameter value. Parameter value, you use the name value pair. Yeah. How do you send a parameter to the server? This is the format. Okay? After question mark, then it's your first parameter. The name of the parameter MN. All right? Then equal sign after the name, then the value. Here, this is our PHP expression of the value. So that is the value of the $I. That's the current, table parameter value, MN. All right, yeah. So if you click it, you send this MN parameter with this value to this unit input.php. Okay, yeah. So that's simple. That's the simple way. And here we only send one parameter, MN. Later you can see we have some way to send multiple parameters. Yeah. In our JavaScript function, later I will go to JavaScript function, you will see we can set send multiple values. Yeah. All right, so here, this is the table title. Yeah. Here you can see. So if you compare, let me bring down a little bit. Yeah, so let me bring down a little bit. See the title, right? Hyperlink. Yeah. So then when you click one of the link, you send it to here. So look at the bar. Yeah. Unit input.php question mark mn equals 1. Okay. Look at the bar here. Okay. So that's you display the URL that you request to the server. Yeah. All right. MN. Yeah. Here you can also change the value you type. Okay. For example, you change this manually. Yeah. So you go to last table MN equals 4. Yeah. So you can do that. All right. Yeah. And here, remember last time I mentioned get method and the put method. HTTP. When we send the data, we commonly use these two methods: get method and the post method. Last time. Okay. Yeah. And here, when we send the data, we use the default method. Default method is the get method. Here you can see, because we do not have a chance to specify what method to use, right? Yeah. When we use the URL to send the data, we do not have a chance to specify what method to use. So we can only use the default method, that is the get method. Yeah. Here what you see, the title bar, so the URL you see, that's the way we use get method to send the data. Okay, all right. Yeah. Yeah. So connect to that. Yeah. Post method, get method. All right. Then let's go back to the code. Yeah. All right. So display. Then after table field, we need to display 2D, display the table data. Okay. All right. Yeah. So here. Here you can see a lot of things we need to do. Yeah. A lot of things we need to do. Yeah. Yeah. Remember, so here, go through the fields. So we need to, yeah. All right, so first, yeah, the title, right? So the first row, this is the first row. In this first row, we need to display the field names. Yeah. Just the field names. Okay, yeah, that's simple. Yeah. And after that, we need to display the data row by row, our 2D data. So we need to use a nested for loop. Outer for loop, this is the outer for loop, and inner for loop. Yeah, look at the inner for loop here. Okay, outer for loop. In the outer for loop, $J, we use $J variable to control row number. Every time we display one row number. Then in the inner for loop, we use $K to control the column number. Okay? All right. So then, because when we display the data in the table, each piece of data, we use a table cell, okay? Table cell, yeah, table. So we organize the data row by row. Each row, we have several table cells, several table cells. Each table cell contains one piece of data. Yeah. So here, this is a table cell. But the table cell here, yeah, look at, I need to associate with the ID. Yeah. I need to give a table cell ID, all right? Because later, I need to access the data of this table cell. So I need to use the ID to access the data of this table cell. So here, look at the ID I used. capital R, then the PHP print the value of $J. Yeah, I need to use the row number. Row number is this print $J. Yeah. Then capital C refers to column. Okay, capital R refers to row. So the row number after capital R and the capital C, the column number $J. Yeah. So it's unique. Yeah. So each ID, the ID of each table cell is unique. So later in my JavaScript function, I can access these, table cell data pieces. Yeah. Yeah. So you will see that here. Then I just display. Yeah. So here, the way I display the data of the, current row, current column. Current row, you can see $J, the second index. Yeah, because 2D array we have two indexes, first and the second. The second index corresponds to the row number. Yeah, not the first index. So then $K, the first one corresponds to the column number. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, yeah. Then, so below, yeah, because remember we need to have edit button, right? Yeah, so let me show you the interface again. Interface here. Look at each row, there is an edit button associated with it. Each edit button we need to associate a JavaScript function to it. Okay? So the button JavaScript function, so we need to put it in the code. Okay, in our code. All right. So the first one here, still in a table cell, TD element, table cell. This div element. This div element, I need to use ID because I need to control this element. I will modify this element. Yeah. Because when you click edit button, you need to change it to update button. Yeah. Update. Yeah, so another update button. We will change in a JavaScript function. Okay, all right. Yeah. So here you can see, actually, I added two buttons in this table cell. The first button is the edit button, and I make it visible, use the display, CSS display property block. See? When the display property is blocked, then this element is visible. Remember, I gave you an example before, okay, hide and show, right? So you click a button, so you show the figure. Then you click another hide button, you make it disappear. Remember our early example I gave you before? Yeah. So I use JavaScript function and the jQuery function to do it twice. Yeah. So you can go back to look at that old example. Here, I just use the feature I used in that example. When the display property has value block, so this element is visible, and this is the edit button. Edit button. Look at the value equals edit. So you see the, this name of the button. Yeah. And the JavaScript function, onClick, edit this row, then the parameter, so here I pass the data to the, the first two, yeah, here. 0, the first column, $J, second column, $1, So I need to pass the first two field values to this JavaScript function, and the third one is the row number. $J, row number, and edit this row. I call this function. Yeah. So you may ask me why I pass the value of the first rows. Remember I mentioned one property before. So here you can connect it. Yeah. Because the question is, how to identify individual rows of the data. Because when we edit one row, how do you make the DBMs know that you selected this row, right? Because in our 5 tables, 2 of the 5 tables have no primary keys. The first 3 tables, they have primary keys. Yeah. When a table has a primary key, you can send a primary key to the DBMS to tell the DBMS that you need to access that particular row, right? So for the first 3 tables, you can send the primary keys. But for the last 2 tables, they do not have the primary keys, so you cannot use the primary key values to identify different rows. But how do you? But we still need to identify those rows. How do you do it? Then I observed a property. The property is the first 2 columns, the data of the first 2 columns should be unique for all the 5 tables. Yeah. Or we can say in this way, the values of the first 2 columns of each table can be used to identify the rows in the current table. Okay. Yeah. For that reason, here I pass the values of the first 2 columns. Yeah, because in this way, I can identify the rows. Okay? Yeah, so that's the way I solve the problems, how to identify individual rows for all 5 tables. Yeah, so that's the solution. Okay, all right, yeah. So that's the edit button, the block, invisible element. Then the second one, update. Here I give an ID, this update, and its display CSS property value is none. That means this button is invisible. Yeah. So originally it is invisible, but when you click the button in our JavaScript function, we make it visible. We make this button visible by changing the display value from none to block. From block to none, we make a visible element invisible. From none to block, we make an invisible element visible. That logic. Okay? All right, so here. Now, because when I talk about this feature, so let me show you. So let me jump to the JavaScript file to show you this feature. How to switch between edit button and update button. Let's look at JavaScript function definition there. All right. Yeah. So here, we're talking about this function. Edit this row x, y, u, 3 parameters. X, y, the values of first 2 columns. First 2 columns, x value, y value. Then u, the row number. Okay, all right. So there, here I use Ajax. Yeah, so the code I'm doing here, Ajax. Okay, yeah, I haven't explained the Ajax. Yeah, but here let's only look at the property change part. Ajax part I will explain later. Okay, all right. The property change, visible, invisible, element switch. Look at these 2 lines. So we do the switch, the button switch, edit button, update button switch. All right. Document.get element by ID, the ID for that button. Yeah. Remember that div, I assign an ID value. Here we access the ID value. All right. So edit btn div plus u, the row number, so that's exactly that ID value. Then dot style dot display, that value, we change it to none, so we make it invisible. Yeah. So we change it because its original value is block. So now we change it to none, we make it invisible. Yeah. Similarly, for the second button, the div element, apdt btn div plus u row number dot style dot display. This time we make it visible. We change its value to block, and its original value is none. So we make it from invisible to visible. So you see the update button, right? So that logic, yeah. So that's the way, you know, we make the change. So here you can see, click edit, you see update, yeah. But at the same time, the value, the fields here, the change, we use Ajax to do it, okay? That's the code of the Ajax, yeah, yeah. So, you know, here we use the old way Ajax. This is the old Ajax code, yeah. And the new code, that's the jQuery code, yeah. So I will talk about that later. The Ajax use the old way, and Ajax using the jQuery way, yeah. All right. Yeah, but here we talk about the, you know, the button change. Yeah. All right. Then, so the delete button, yeah, so we use the, you know, the same way, but delete button because we never need to change, right? We never need to change from visible to invisible, so we do not need to do coding for that part. We just delete, we just display the DL button all the time, and associated with DL this row, and yeah, so here also we need to identify the row, right? So here the parameter I attach, I use the values of the first two columns for the current row to identify this row to be deleted. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then, after next, you know, two images for sorting, ascending order, descending order sorting. So I display, you know, two images, and each image I use as a button. So here we call it image button. Image button. Yeah. So import type image. That's the image button. Then we need to provide the location of the images. On click, so two JavaScript functions. Yeah. So actually here, one JavaScript function, I use one parameter to control sorting, ascending order, descending order. Okay? Yeah. So the 0 ascending order, 1 descending order. Okay? But I also need to tell which table we want to do the sorting. So $mn, we need to pass it as the first parameter. Yeah. Then second parameter $I, we need to tell the index of the column. Yeah. Which column you want to do the sorting on, right? Yeah. So we need 3 parameters. Yeah. All right. So here, yeah, because this function is very simple. Sort current field function plus square function, very simple. So let me explain this code first. Yeah. 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 Sort. Yeah. All right. How to sort? Sort the current. Yeah. So which one? Yeah. Where is it? Yeah. Sort. Look at the first function. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I say very simple. Yeah. Sort current field U, V, W, 3 parameters. U, the table number, V, the column number, W, direction, right? Ascending order, descending order, direction. Yeah. Here we only use one line to do it. Okay? to do that work, we just use one line. We send a URL to the server to complete that request. Because we only need to send a request passing the two given parameters to this, data processing file. So what's the data processing file? Unit input.php. This is the data processing file. Okay? The back end, the server side PHP file, we use it for data processing. How to send it? Look at the document.location.href. So this property, so here the property, document is object. Okay, document, yeah. So the document object, yeah. So the web browser prepare this object, so then make it available. So for us, in order to access the content of your HTML document, so we need to use this document object, document.location property. So this location property is another object. Then we use location object.href, another property. Yeah. So we pass the request URL. So this URL, we want to request it, send a request to the server. Yeah. So we send a request to the server using the get method. Yeah. Get method because it's a default method. So here we use the default method. Okay. So this is the way we use the get method to send the data. These three parameters, that's our data. We send it to the back end data processing file. Yeah. Another question, how to send? Here, look at the way we send the data. mn equals the value of the first parameter, but you need to separate these three parameters. Here we use ampersand sign to separate. Okay? After the first parameter, we use name value pair, name mn, equals separate the name and the value. Then the value. After this pair, ampersand, the second parameter name value pair. Okay? After the second, another ampersand, separate, then dir, the third parameter name value pair. Yeah. So here, this one line function, you can see, so we can do this request, sending three parameters. Okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Then another simple function, let me explain. Look at this new row button. Yeah. Because here I just want to show that feature, visible, invisible feature, right? Yeah. So you click new row button, so you see this row, with the empty fields, and the user can enter data, click enter button to enter the data. Okay? Let's look at that feature. So that feature, we use that visible, invisible, simple way to control that. Okay? So the logic also very simple. Visible way, invisible way. Yeah. So let me show you again that logic. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So look at here. Add a new row. Yeah. Add a new row. We need to go to the interface here. Yeah. So for the interface, look at this one. This div, I give ID new data div. Yeah. It's display value block, so it's visible. Okay. So at the beginning, this element is visible. This element contains, yeah, all right, so here, contains, yeah, right, so empty. So here you can see, although I use a for loop, running through all the fields, but I do not display anything, okay? So what you see is empty things. But at the end, I put a button, new row button and associate add new row JavaScript function. Okay, add a new row JavaScript function. All right, so that's the, the initial visible element. Yeah. But when I click the button, so then I switch. I make the initial visible button invisible. Then I make the initial invisible button, this is initial invisible button. Data input div, initial display value is none, so it's invisible. But when we click add a new row, we make it visible by changing this display value from none to display. Yeah. All right. And inside it, it's a form. Yeah. I put a form, HTML form. Yeah. Because HTML form is a convenient way we can send a set of data items to the server through the form. Okay? And using the post method. Yeah, here, look at the form. Form element action equals enter table row.php. Yeah, because here I need another PHP program to process the user's input data. So I call this program the name enter table row.php. Yeah. The method here I specify as the post method. Yeah. Yeah. Regarding the difference between get and post, yeah, I will, I try to find the time to explain. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we use get method, sometimes we use post method. There are many important differences. Yeah. So I will talk about the differences next time. Yeah. Next time when I explain more programming features. So then I explain, the difference, get method, post method, the main differences. Yeah. All right. So here we use the post method. Okay. All right. Then here, look at this input. I also use a hidden input. Yes. Sometimes, yeah, this hidden input is very useful. Yeah. So this feature, I want to, recommend. So to you, in many situations, you may need to use this hidden field way to pass the data. Yeah. Data passing. Remember, data communication, data passing is very important in web programming. Yeah. So one simple way to pass data, hidden field. Yeah. Here, look at this hidden field. First, look at the syntax of the hidden field. Then I explain, why we need to use this hidden field. All right. Yeah. Input element, ID, because we need to access the value of this hidden field. So we need the ID. ID equals MN. Type, hidden. So the hidden type, so from the name, the data stored in this element is hidden. So you cannot see it. Nobody can see it. But why we need it? Although it's hidden, but it's a valid element. So we can access its value. Then in this way, because some values we want to use later, but we may not want to pass it as a parameter. Yeah. Because if you pass it as a parameter, you need to retrieve somewhere, right? How do you pass a particular value as a parameter to a JavaScript function? First, you need to get it, right? But to get one particular value, sometimes it's very hard, okay? Yeah. After you do many other things, you want to go back to get an old value, it could be hard, right? Because you don't know where to get it. Yeah. So in that situation, there is a convenient way to make the old value available when you need them. You use hidden elements to store a few all the values that you may need to access in your JavaScript functions. Okay, yeah. So here, look at this mn value, the current table number mn, because in our JavaScript function we want to know which table we are working on, right? Yeah, but how do you get the current table number, right? Sometimes we can pass mn value, but sometimes when we do some relatively complicated things, we get lost, right? We couldn't keep track of the current table number. Yeah. In that situation, we use hidden element to temporarily to store the current table number there. Okay? Yeah, it's very useful. Yeah. So last time one student asked me, because last time, actually in the first project you have chance to use this hidden element. Yeah, one student told me, she wants to control the, location of 7 pieces. Yeah. So when you drag and drop 7 pieces, you may want to know the current location, right? Yeah. But she does not know how to store the location of the current element. Then, if it's lost, she couldn't access it anymore. Yeah. Then I recommend her, you can use the hidden variable to store the location of the current element. Yeah. All right. Yeah. This way. Yeah. Simple but very useful. All right. So next. Here, this enter table, it's a form, right? So if it's a form, we need to provide a set of input elements for the user to enter the data. So here, each input type text element, that's an input data field. Yeah. So we have, for each field of the current table, we provide input fields. Yeah. So the user can enter the data into these fields, then click the submit button here, submit button, enter, then all the data pieces, values are sent to the enter table row.php backend data processing file. Okay? Yeah. So the HTML form, this way. So we can send typically multiple data pieces. Yeah. So this is a convenient way to send the data to the server. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then let's look at the data processing. Yeah, because you send the data to this enter table row.php. Then we need to process the data in this file. Okay. So here, let me show you the data processing part. Yeah. So we need another PHP program here. Yes, here we have several data processing. Okay. Other than the user interface, unit input.php, that's the user interface. The remaining we have four PHP files that they are all for the data processing. Okay, yeah. So let's look at this one. Enter table row.php. Yeah, because when we call it, we need to do the data processing in this file. Okay, so let me explain the code here. Okay, all right. So here we have less than 15 minutes. Yeah. So then, yeah, but this file is pretty simple. Yeah. The first part, the first line, $mm, because we want to get a table number. Yeah. Which table you want to enter the data? You need to tell server that, right? Yeah. So we retrieve the data. But here, the filter, I talk about the filter underscore input function last time. Yeah. So we filter our input, user's input. Input underscore post, so that constant, special constant, yeah, because our data is stored in the post scope. Yeah, in the post scope. Yeah. So now we retrieve the data with the name MM, the name. Okay. Then we use intval function, yeah, intval to convert it to integer. Convert it to integer. Yeah. So we have the table name. Then the standard database connection. Yeah. So these lines, we do copy paste standard. Yeah. Data. Yeah. So then the table names. Yeah. So we make this table array because we want to use the MN to tell us what is the table name, the current table name. All right, so we get a current table name. Yeah. All right, so then the table fields, yeah, because result 1, yeah, so here you can see we use the old code. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of code we're doing here, the old code, we just copy paste. Okay, all right. Then the new code, yeah. After this line 29, we need to write a new code for this program. Okay, all right. New code, yeah, here. Here I have about 10 minutes. Yeah, the last 10 minutes, let me explain the last part of the program. Yeah, yeah. Although not many lines, yeah, but probably I need to explain something. Yeah. So here, let me just do the screenshot. Then I explain, yeah, here, yeah, actually, yeah, so. Here, yeah, covering all these things. Yeah. All right, let me explain these parts in this, screenshot. Yeah. Now, remember, enter the data. We need to do insertion, right? The query, we need to do insertion. Yeah, here. So now we need to prepare. We need to prepare, yeah, for the insertion statement. Okay, all right. Insertion statement here. We know the insertion syntax, right? Yeah. So we know the standard SQL insertion syntax. Yeah. So the insertion statement is a string. Yeah, is a string. Yeah. So here we use the PHP way to form a string. Yeah. Because there is this step. So what we are doing here, yeah, so actually, all these things, what we are doing here, so we use the PHP way to form, okay, the string for the insertion statement. Okay, so that, all right. So then, for the insertion, you need to specify all the fields and all the values, right? Yeah. All the fields, all the values, they are included in a pair of parentheses, right? So we start with open parentheses for these two substring values, yeah, because they will be the substrings in our final query string. Then we use a for loop to pack the values, yeah, because we need to pack all the field names in one string. Yeah. And we need to pack all the values in another string. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then all fields to hold all the field names, the dot operator, remember, dot operator in PHP concatenation, right? So dot operator in PHP, that's the concatenation. So we use the concatenation operator to connect, all the values. Yeah. All right. So then at the end, we need to use a comma. Okay. Yeah. So after we, at the end of, right. Yeah. So at the end of each field name or field value, we need to use a comma. But the last one, we do not use. Okay, so that's why we use, if we want to see count, before the last element, we need to add a comma. Yeah. If we hit the last element, we do not add a comma. Yeah, so that's the meaning. Yeah. All right. Then, after we pack all the field names, all the field values, at the end, we close the parentheses. We close the parentheses, okay? So that's two parts. Now, with that two parts ready, yeah, so we use this for loop to prepare those two substrings, important substrings. After ready, now we can write this standard insert query statement. Yeah. Insert into table name all fields, yeah, because we pack all the field names, parentheses, comma, following the syntax. Okay? Value, all values, yeah, following the syntax, we pack. Okay? So that's our query string. Then we run the query. Yeah. Because for insertion, we do not expect output. We do not need to process the output. Okay? Yeah. So we just do the insertion. Then we are done. Yeah. Then after that insertion, we finish the processing, so we need to close the database connection object to release the resource. Yeah. So here, this line, yeah, for a good programmer, you should close the database connection to release the resource, the memory resource, okay? Because database connection object occupies memory resource. After you close it, then the memory operating system releases the memory, program can run faster. Okay? So if you waste too much memory resource, then your application would run slower. Yeah. So a good programming practice, whenever you finish use any resource, you need to release your resource. Okay? All right, so after that. Then, after you finish the processing, you need to go back to the user's input page. How to go back to user page? This header function. Yeah. This header function is very, very useful. It's simple, but it's very useful. So at the end, we use the header function, location, colon, then the URL you want to send to the server as a request. Here, we want to display this unit input.php question mark, the current table. Yeah, because we are working on the current table. So when we send, another request, we want to use the same table. We don't want to change table, right? So for that reason, we attach this mm value. Okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then the last thing, yeah, just 2 minutes before we finish today, the last thing. Remember, we have an optional task for project 2. Okay? So here, yeah, I want to mention, in our project 2, if you look at the bottom project 2, the bottom, we have an optional feature, task, that's interesting. You can, if you have extra time, energy, you can work. What's that one? The optional task, batch insertion, right? Remember? So I mentioned it in class. Batch insertion. Yeah. For the batch insertion, so this insertion code, you can use part of it in your batch insertion. Yeah. Yeah. The way is when you form the insertion query statement, you just modify this query insertion query statement to fit the modify it for the batch insertion. Modify it for the batch insertion. Okay? So we do not need to use special function, special way, just like in Java. In PHP, for batch insertion, we use the same insertion way. Okay? Modify it for the batch insertion, and you know the batch insertion format, right? Yeah. In class, we talk about the batch insertion format. You just use the same batch insertion format. You can do it. Okay? Yeah. So it's not that hard. Okay? So the insertion part you can use this way. And reading the data. You also need to, because we want to read the data from a text file. Okay? We want to read the data from CSV file. Okay? From CSV file. Okay? Yeah. All right, so that's it. So let me stop right here. Yeah, so today we covered, I want to say 1/2. Yeah, today I do not have time to talk about Ajax, jQuery Ajax. So next time, I need to talk about next time. But also, I need to give you transcript part next time. Yeah, transcript. Yeah, remember, to show that transcript, how to organize data, transcript, a little challenging. If you want to try, you can try. But for most students, it's a little challenging. The next time, I will give you the sample code. Okay? All right. Yeah, so that's it. I will post, the video soon. Yeah. So, yeah, the old one I just posted. Yeah. So, if you haven't watched the video, you can study the previous one first. Yeah. All right. So that's it.